Hey everybody, and welcome to Comics from the Future. I'm Andy, and Matt is not here. He's feeling a little under the weather, so it looks like this time I'm going alone. I thank him so much for covering for me last week when I was out of town, but now it looks like he has left me to do this. But it's all good. So this is your big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that you can pre-order by this weekend over at infinityflux.net right now. So head on over there. You can follow along. You can place your pre-orders. And yeah, that way you don't miss out on any of the good comic stuff when it releases in a few weeks. So super important to get your pre-orders in before Sunday around 9 o'clock is the cutoff. But yeah, this is a big show. So definitely miss Matt being here, but we shall carry on because we're going to start off with our featured comics. And first off is Timeslide #1. So this is written by Steve Fox and the art is by Ivan Fiorelli. And this is kind of your timeless book that Marvel does every year. It kind of has it has a narrative structure, but then it kind of reveals stuff about what is coming up in the new year for Marvel Comics. So you'll see possible storylines, especially when you're dealing with characters like Cable and Bishop. I imagine they're going to be seeing some stuff from the future that is possibly going to be in different Marvel books in the past. Some of them come to pass, some of them haven't, but it's always really fun to check out and see what little teases they drop in there. So in this one, it's wrapped around the story of the X-Men. An X-Man from the future travels to our present, warning of a hyper advanced foe who is eating his way through time, trying to stop the X gene from ever evolving. And it's up to Bishop and Cable. They're the only ones who can stop this predator if they can tolerate working together. So, sounds really fun. I love Cable. I am a 90s kid, so Cable to me is the epitome of cool. So I'm very excited for this, and I always like these one shots. So, yep, just going to be a one shot. It's kind of sets the stage for the future of Marvel. So we've got our A cover right here. We also have a Betsy Cola Winter Holiday Special, which is really fun. We've got a David Nakayama spoiler variant. So there's always some like reveal in it or something, either a new character, a new costume, or a new something. I think one of the last ones showed Doom wearing Doctor Strange's cloak, which we know is coming up in the One World Under Doom story. So it's going to be something like that. And then we also have a Mike Del Mundo cover, which is very fun. Continuing on, because I don't have anyone to bounce it to, we're going to go to The New Gods #1. I actually got a chance to read this, and it's really cool. This is by Ram V, and the art is by Evan Cagle, with guest artist Jorge Fornes. And once you read it, you'll see the parts that he does. But this, from reading it, feels very biblical in scale. If you know The New Gods, you know High Father and his opposite, which is Dark Side, and their children, which uh, you've got Orion, you've got Mr. Miracle, all of that stuff comes into play because after the DC All In special, we saw Darkseid appeared, all of that, and then Darkseid died. It was kind of part of his plan to die, but because of his death, it has created a huge event in the DC universe, a huge ripple, all of that, and we'll see a little bit more of that later. But in this, because the balance of the universe is thrown off, a prophecy is told to Metron, who is the guy who sits in the chair, about a child that will be born with mysterious powers, and it could either spell doom or peace and power for the new gods. But of course, High Father, who's the leader of the new gods, doesn't like this weird thing that's been put into play, and he's going to try to stop that child. So we are going to be bring in Mr. Miracle and his wife Barda, and yeah, you will see how all that plays together. But this is very a mix of like high concept and um, really fun stuff with Mr. Miracle as they have a new baby and all of that. So yeah, this is gonna be 12 issue maxi series that you don't want to miss out on if you kind of want to see that big scope of the DC universe, some of the cosmic stuff, and especially like what's going on with Darkseid and his plan. That's all going to be in this one. But like I said, I read #1. I really liked it. I was worried at first that maybe it would be a little heady for me, that some of the concepts may be a little big, and it starts out that way, but as you get into it you realize why and all of that, and actually becomes a really, really fun read. So this is our A cover for that. We have an Evan Cagle cardstock variant. So that is your interior artist, and the art in this is really cool. It goes from being like pretty standard comic art to kind of trippy in some places. I really liked it. I loved what Orion looks like in it. We have a Pete Woods variant. We have an Evan Cagle Birth of a New God acetate cover, which is really cool. You can see Metron right there holding a mother box. Metron's going to play a really cool part in this. And we have a Fico Ocio all-in foil variant with Mr. Miracle, who I love, and so I'm always happy to see him in more stuff. But yeah, I was a little like not on the fence, but I was thinking like, oh, this is gonna be cool, but maybe it's gonna be a bit much. But after reading, I was like, yeah, this is awesome, and I can't wait to check out more of it. So that finishes up New Gods, and we're moving on to Magik #1. So this is going to be an ongoing series by Ashley Allen, and the art is by German Peralta. And this is really cool. I love Magik. Ileana Rasputin, Magik, strikes out on her own with new allies and dark powers against something ancient that has awakened underneath the Alaskan ice, which, if you have been reading X-Men, you know that's where their current base is. And she's a member of that kind of main X-Men team, so it sounds like she's going to be branching off from them a little bit to deal with this. But unfortunately, for whatever wakens up, this is Magik's territory now. So it sounds like it's going to be an awesome one of just Magik doing some awesome stuff, fighting some demons, and all of the stuff that she does. But yeah, I'm very excited about this. The X-Men books have been great. I've liked a lot of the solo titles for the characters. So we've got our A cover right here. We also have a David Nakayama variant, a Dyke Ruin foil variant, which is going to look really cool in foil. We have a Ji-Hyung Lee variant. We have a logo variant and a NetEase Marvel Rivals variant, which is a new game coming up, which will feature Magik. So that one's really cool. Next up, we're moving to Challengers of the Unknown. And I'm really excited about this one. So if you've read, let's see, the DC All In special, maybe had a little bit of it. If you read Black Lightning #1, you may have seen a little bit of it. But the Challengers of the Unknown are really cool. So they date back to kind of the old Adventure Comics days. But they're being brought back into the DC universe in a really cool way. They're kind of the custodians of the new Justice League Watchtower. And so this is going to be written by Christopher Cantwell with art by Sean Isaacs, who just finished up an amazing run on Green Arrow. And the Challengers of the Unknown, you'll understand their job a little bit more once you read Justice League Unlimited #1, and especially Question #1, which comes out this coming week, which we'll be going over on the Monday show, which is a fantastic book. But the Challengers of the Unknown right now are kind of the custodians. They're the kind of just the workers on the Watchtower, and in this, uh, because of that shockwave from Darkseid dying and everything, there's been some trauma in the galaxy, and tears open up in the very fabric of time and space. And it's going to be up to the Challengers of the Unknown teamed up with the Justice League, which you see on the cover where the Justice League are wearing the traditional Challengers of the Unknown colors and everything. They're going to have to work together to try to close up these tears in time and reality. But it says, plus a villain from the Challengers past lurks in the shadows. I'm really excited about this. I love the way that the DC Universe is structured right now. A lot of it's centering around the Watchtower and branching off from there. And these are, once you start reading a little bit more of the stuff coming up, you'll see how important they are to the structure of the new DC Universe. And I think it's cool that they're getting this spotlight book. But yeah, I'm very excited about this. I haven't read this one yet, but I am stoked for it. So we have our A cover here by Mike Deodato. We have a Turin Clark variant. We have a Danny Earls variant. I love all the Justice League in these purple costumes. That's awesome. We have a Dan Mora design variant where you see them in those costumes. We have a Gleb Milkonov foil variant, and we have a Fico Ocio all-in foil variant. So you've got the Challenges of the Unknown, and they were originally made up of like a core team, and I don't know the names of all of those characters, but it looks like they're going to be coming back along with the Justice League and maybe some more members. Next up, we have Hellhunters #1. So this is by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Adam Gorham. This is set in 1944, and a U.S. Sergeant Sal Romero parachutes into Nazi-occupied Europe, while a young Nazi officer named Felix Bruckner becomes the host for an unspeakable evil. And, we're speculating, is that going to be Ghost Rider or is that something else? In the aftermath of their violent meeting, Romero is reborn as Ghost Rider 44, who sets out on not only to take on revenge on Bruckner and the Nazis, but to save mankind from annihilation. And it also mentions there's going to be some guest stars of Marvel heroes from that era. So, of course, you see on the cover, you're going to get Nick Fury, you're going to get Wolverine, you're going to get Bucky, you're probably going to get Captain America. I'd love to see some more of the Invaders in there, but this sounds really cool as a mini series. I love the different heroes set in different times. So yeah, and I guess introducing a new Ghost Rider with Ghost Rider 44. So very cool. We've got our A cover here. We have a Adam Gorham variant. We have a Chris Allen Stormbreakers variant. And a David Baldeon Window Shades variant, which all very cool. Continuing on, we have Green Lantern Green Arrow World's Finest Special #1. This is going to be written by Jeremy Adams and Lucas Mayer with art by Travis Mercer. And this is going to be a one-shot. And if you've been reading Batman Superman World's Finest or know the World's Finest kind of world they've set, it's in the main DC continuity, but it's set sometime in the past towards the earlier days of these heroes, and it's really fun. It's very Silver Age feeling, and of course this one is bringing back the two hard traveling heroes with Hal and Green Arrow. So in this one, the two find themselves at a crossroads. They've always had very differing opinions on things. That's kind of what made their original series so fun. But they will have to team up once again if they're going to survive the mysterious bounty hunter known as Deathstroke. So it sounds like we're kind of going to be getting our world's finest Deathstroke here. The early days of Deathstroke and his, maybe the heroes not knowing as much about him. So that can be really cool. Plus, because this is an oversized issue, there's going to be a backup story by Jeremy Adams, who had an amazing run on The Flash for a long time, but he's returning to the world of Flash with Barry Allen as Barry Allen races on the road to Crisis. So the DC universe, you've got crises, big events that happen. So it looks like we're going to see kind of that kind of pre-Crisis era Barry Allen. I think this sounds really cool. I'm very excited for it. I love all the World's Finest stuff, Teen Titans, World's Finest Teen Titans, and Batman Superman. So this is going to be really, really cool. We got our A cover right here by Dan Mora. We have a Howard Porter variant and a Ken Marion variant, I believe. The name runs off the page, but yeah, all very cool. So if you're reading World's Finest, you're a fan of Green Arrow or Green Lantern, you'll definitely want to pick this one up. And we're moving on again to Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn #1. I'm very excited about this. I like the kind of look and everything of Gunslinger Spawn, but this is going to be a new series written by Jimmy Palmiotti and the art by Patrick Reynolds. And I'm a big fan of Jimmy Palmiotti from his days on working on Jonah Hex, which is a fantastic DC comic, Old West with Jonah Hex. He worked on it with Justin Gray, and that proved to me like, okay, this is going to be really good because Jimmy Palmiotti has a great sense of like the Old West and these kind of one-shot tales and everything. This one is going to explore Gunslinger Spawn's true origin, which we've never got the actual true origin. This could be fully revealed in this one. Set in the past before Gunslinger Spawn is pulled to the future, which is going on currently in like the Scorched book and everything. And this will unravel his place in the Spawn universe, a brutal tale of Old West violence and mayhem. So this is going to be awesome. I think there should be way more Western comics and adventure comics and everything. And it looks like we're slowly getting there because it's a nice change of pace from the traditional superhero. But yeah, so if you're a fan of Gunslinger Spawn, it also sounds like it's going to be a great jumping on point if you haven't read any, but you kind of like the look or Spawn universe. This will be awesome. So we've got our A cover here by Patrick Reynolds, which is your interior artist, which is crazy, how detailed and everything. We also have a Berens variant and a Todd McFarlane variant because, you got to have Todd McFarlane drawing Spawn. Moving on, we have one that I gotta scroll over for because, of course, this is a distillery book, which, of course, are magazine size. This is You Won't Feel a Thing by Scott Snyder, and the art is by Jock. So your classic team that did Batman Black Mirror is coming back to do this one, and yeah, this sounds really cool. So in this, there's an alien detective who's past his prime and everything. He was great, but he kind of put his job in front of everything else in his life. But now Jack Bernard is in a retirement home. His body's kind of failing him. He has a brain tumor that's slowly sapping his once keen mind of all its memories. But when a serial killer case from his past rears its head, Jack will have to call on his remaining memories in order to stop the killer that only he still believes really exists. So I like Scott Snyder is a great writer, of course, doing Absolute Batman right now. But what he also does really well is brings a lot of emotion and a lot of, in depth character stuff to his stories. And I think you're going to get a lot of that here dealing with this aging detective. So they say it's a sober murder mystery exploring the anguish of a man whose own body and mind has turned against him and the desire to find meaning in one's life before it unravels. So I think this sounds awesome. The distillery books do this really well. This kind of um, not high concept, but this very kind of mature storytelling. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out. We have your A cover here by Jock, your interior artist. You have a Tula Lotte variant, and we have a Jay Lee variant. So super weird. Don't know what to make of the covers, but it's going to be awesome when it comes out. Moving on, because we are talking about our feature comics, and how could we not talk about Absolute Batman #3? #2 just came out this week. It was awesome. This continues to be such a great series. Once again, we got Scott Snyder here with Nick Dragotta. And in this one, Batman and Alfred had formed a tentative alliance. You can kind of see through the first two issues that Alfred really kind of admires what Batman is doing, and he doesn't want to interfere with him too much, even though he knows he's supposed to. But it looks like you're going to start working together a little bit more here. Black Mask, who of course is the big villain, along with his party animals, they're coming to Gotham. He has some new friends who are coming to Gotham to wreak havoc. Plus, discover the dark secret that will rock Bruce to his core and make him question everything. So, knowing Scott Snyder, even though we think we've seen all the twists and turns, there's still going to be more to come, and I'm very excited about it. So, of course, this is like one of the top selling books right now for good reason. So, definitely pre order Absolute Batman because I think stores are still trying to figure out their numbers and find kind of a sweet spot. So, some may still under order. We try not to, but it's always helpful to have those numbers in just to make sure that everyone gets a copy who wants one. So this is, of course, your A cover. We have a Becky Cloonan cover, which I love Becky Cloonan's art, and a Gabriel Del Otto, where you really see those weird hooks that he has on the end of his wings. And next up, we got another continuation of a super popular series. We have G.I. Joe #2. So, #1 just came out. It was a lot of fun. All of the miniseries of Destro and Cobra Commander and Scarlet and Duke all converged to create G.I. Joe. And the #1 was really fun. It's mostly catching you up on all the characters that are members now and all of that. But we do see that Cobra Commander has some tricks up his sleeve now that he has discovered Energon, and what does that mean for the future? Which once you see it, when you read #1, it all makes sense if you're familiar with the cartoon, but it's really, really fun. In this one, Cobra Commander's big plan is still underway as we meet the Valkyries, which sound like Cobra Valkyries, whose task is to retrieve the new mysterious weapon. And so I've got a lot of questions about what that is and everything, if it's the one maybe we saw in Scarlet, but we'll have to see. But I'm very excited to continue with G.I. Joe with issue #2. This is your A cover. And we also have a David Finch variant, which is really fun. Moving on, we have Parliament of Rooks #1. So this got delayed a little bit, but very excited to talk about it because this is by our good friends Abigail Joe Harding and Richard Starkings, who, of course, we're all very close to here And Abigail's been here for signings, everything. So we're very excited that this is kind of her spearheaded book that she's been working on, along with Ask for Mercy with Richard. But yeah, this was Eisner nominated. It was a digital first on Comixology, but now it's getting put in print. Um, after waking up from a dream, architect Darius Ravenscar makes plans to head to the city of Ebervik to show the princess the designs she had commissioned. However, at the masquerade ball, it becomes clear that something is terribly wrong. So, really cool. If you know Abigail's art style, you know how cool it can be. You can see on the cover right here, great character designs, monster designs. You don't want to miss out on this. And yeah, very excited for this. Hopefully, Richard will do a signing here for the book when it comes out. But yeah, don't miss out on Parliament of Rooks #1. We've got our A cover here, and there's a black and white variant as well. And next up, we got other #1s, continuing on with a bunch of #1s, starting with, of course, a personal favorite of mine, Star Wars The Battle of Jakku, Last Stand. This is your next part of the Battle of Jakku super miniseries event thing they're doing with multiple miniseries making a 112 issue maxi series. Last Stand #1 will be the beginning of this part. And like I've said before, I do all the ordering here. So I've been moving people from subscription to subscription for each of these miniseries, but still sign up for it. It makes it a little bit easier. So I know everyone wants to still be on the series. And definitely pre order it because this has been really fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens after this. Where does this series lead us? But with this one, not a whole lot to say because you kind of, have been following the series. Still by Alex Seguera with art by Jethro Morales and Leonard Kirk. And it says the rise of a familiar villain driven to the edge of sanity. So I'm interested to see who that is. Do we know who that is? But yeah, really cool. And you can see on the bottom there, you've got Luke on Jakku because there's the crashed Star Destroyer. It sounds really fun. I can't wait for this one. We've got our A cover here and a Rod Rice variant as well. Next up, we have Kidpool Spider-Boy #1. So this is going to be by Chris Yost. I think this is a one-shot. It was hard to tell, but I think it's a one-shot. Chris Yost and art by Nathan Stockman and others. And there's not a whole lot of information about the story here. It says the historic first meeting of Spider-Boy and Kidpool, the foul-mouthed Kidpool, and the kind of good boy um, Bailey, who is Spider Boy, come together for an adventure. So don't know a whole lot about the story, but it does sound really fun. Also, it's really fun that Kidpool looks like he has Luke's lightsaber, kind of a mix of Luke's and Vader's. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, really fun if you're a fan of either of the characters. You want to check this one out. We have our A cover here. We have a Chris Campana variant, and we have a Todd Knock variant. Next up, we have another #1. This is Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries by Frank Thierry. And in this, if you've been reading stuff, Sabretooth is dead, but his past is still alive and lethal because we're going to go back to the 1900s as we meet a feared gangster and murderer who rose to power. But also, it turns out that was Sabretooth. How does what he did in the past affect even Wolverine in the present? As we see the secret, untold chapter from the life of Logan's greatest foe. So, if you're a big Sabretooth fan, you'll definitely want to check this one out. It sounds really fun. I like Sabretooth. I like some of his previous miniseries. So, this can be very cool. We've got our A cover here. We have our David Parator variant. We have a Frank Miller variant and a Tommaso variant as well. I like that kind of classic 90s look for Sabretooth right there. Next up, another new #1. This is Missing on the Moon #1. This is by Corey Crater and Damian Coercirio. I butcher all the names, but this is going to be a 4-issue miniseries for Mad Cave. Sounds really fun. It's set in 1997, but it says crime is running rampant on the moon. So this is a little bit kind of Blade Runner. It's the past, it's the future. And a colony there called Buzztown. There's a billionaire whose daughter has gone missing. Now it's up to the washed up investigator Daniel Schwinn, who must go gets put on this assignment and has to deal with undead drug addicts, mechanized RoboCops, and more. So sounds really fun. It's a neon noir, that genre that's been popping up. That's really fun. So don't miss out on this one. And let's see, we've got our A cover here and a Rye Hickman variant as well. Next up, we got Freddie the Fix. This is another new book. This is from Image, but it's also part of a new imprint they had called Ninth Circle, which I believe this is the first book from Ninth Circle, and it's a creator-owned. You've got like Ghost Machine, which is an imprint of Image. This is going to be another one. Um, Creator-driven horror showcase book, and this is a perfect bound and magazine size book. So this is going to be a lot like your distillery books. But this is by Garth Ennis and Mike Perkins. So heavy hitters there in a twisted horror tale. And it sounds really fun. It says Hollywood After Dark. You got werewolves, vampires, zombies, aliens, and all the crazy dark things sometimes get themselves into trouble, and they call on Freddy to fix it. So really cool idea there that you don't want to miss out on. If you're a fan of that kind of thing, if you like the magazine-sized books, especially if you're a big Garth Ennis fan, this sounds like kind of prime Garth Ennis storytelling. But we've got our A cover here, and that is the only cover. So yeah, very cool. Next up, we have Horizon Experiments, Mother, Monsters. We try to keep this PG to PG-13. So this is by Jay Holtham, and the art is by Michael Lee Harris. And this is still part of that Horizon Experiments. They're one-shots, but they're all by people of minority doing stories and not traditionally uh, those settings for the story. So this one says is Evil Dead for Black Nerds, a modern spin on action-packed horror comedy for fans of Bitterroot and Chew. I love Chew. I still haven't read Bitterroot yet, but I know there's a bunch of fans for it. And the writer of this was a writer for Handmaid's Tale and Marvel's Jessica Jones. So it sounds really fun. And what it seems like from these, if they do well enough, they could spin off into their own series. So, really fun one here. Here's our A cover. And we also have a Tuilote. This is still part of the connecting variants that all of these are doing. And next up, we got notable twos and threes. Wow, there's a lot to do when it's just one person. But let's continue on with Batman and Robin, year one, number 3 of 12. So we've got number 1, it was great. Mark Waid, Chris Samney, about the first year of Batman and Robin's kind of partnership working together. Issue number 2 comes out next week, so we'll be talking about that on Monday, which I'm very excited for. The first issue was great. But in this one, it says Batman and Robin are up against the Maroni crime family, which is really fun. Especially if you've been watching Penguin, you feel like you get a good sense of the crime families and how they work in Gotham. So that's going to be very cool. We've got our A cover here, of course, by your interior artist, Chris Samney. You have a Carlos de Anda variant, which I love his art. And we have a Michael Allred variant, which looks very Batman 66, which I'm all for. I think that's super fun. Next up, check this out. We got Batman Gargoyle of Gotham. Remember this book by Raphael Grandpa. This is supposed to be, I think, a 4-issue miniseries. We have not got an issue since December 12th of last year. Now, this is a lot for a single writer artist to take on. I understand that. I know this book got not canceled, but like the orders for issue 3 got canceled, and then it's back up. I don't know what's taken so long, but I cut them some slack. This is a lot of work to do a book. So, yeah, if you remember reading number 1, number 2, number 3 is finally coming back. It's been a long time. It's been almost, I mean, it'll be close to a year when this comes out. Um, yeah, so this comes out on 12/26, and we haven't gotten an issue since December 12th of last year, so it'll be over a year between issues. But that's okay, because it was really fun, and hopefully, if you're reading it, you will continue to read it through this one. We've got our A cover here. We have a Jamie Hewlett variant, a Frank Whiteley variant, and a Bilquis Evely variant, along with a noir edition of issue 3. So guessing it's going to be like just the black and white art, which will be very cool. And next up, we have Milestone Universe, The Shadow Cabinet, number 204. Number one, I believe, comes out next week, which I'm sure we'll read for the show. So, don't know a whole lot about this other than it's just a return to the Milestone Universe, and there's a secret Shadow Cabinet of superpowered people who've been taking care of things behind the scenes. But it's kind of an event book as well because it's using like the whole Milestone universe of characters. And in this one, it says, "Is this the end of Static?" Which I hope not because I loved his TV show. So if you're a fan of the Milestone universe and everything, you'll definitely want to pick up number one next week, and then sign up for the series, pre-order number two, because this is going to be a 4-issue miniseries. This is your A cover for that. And we have a Nicholas Draper Ivy variant as well. Very cool with Static. Next up, we have The Question All Along the Watchtower, number two. Number one is awesome. I know we talked hard about it when it was up for pre order for number one. Number one will be releasing next week, but it actually is really, really good. I don't want to say I went into it with low expectations, but I kind of went into it with no expectations. I was like, yeah, this sounds cool. I like Renee Montoya as the Question, and I like her new job as like the head of security for the Watchtower. Sounds really cool, but I didn't realize how much I would enjoy this until after I read it. I love the art, the writing, the mystery. Everything of this is really, really cool. So issue number two is up for pre-order. This is going to be a 6-issue miniseries, and it says you'll find out in the first one there's a grisly murder in the Watchtower, and the Question must face a dark reality. So yeah, don't want to give away too much of it right now, but read number one. You will not be disappointed because I know Matt and I both really, really liked number one. So this is your A cover. We also have a Fornes variant and a Perillo variant. And I like Renee Montoya's new kind of like sheriff Question look. It sets her apart enough from Vic Sage's The Question with his like blue and the tie and everything that I could see them easily working together and be very distinct characters. Next up, we have the Rockefellers number two. Number one of this comes out next week. Don't miss out on this. It is the next new number one from Ghost Machine. Everything they've been doing has been amazing, and I'm very excited about this one. It's written by Peter J. Tomasi with art by Francis Manapul, and it's kind of that pseudo like Jetsons, Swiss Family Robinson family that discovers something in the future and has to go into like witness protection by being sent back to the year 2024 to hide, but there is something that's hunting them. But on top of that, they're a family, and you get a lot of that fun family vibe as it's these futuristic people trying to survive in what they consider ancient history. In this one, it does say that the family are being hunted by time traveling drone bots, but currently the family are trying to find the perfect Christmas tree. So it sounds like this is going to be a really fun mix of you've got some exciting like danger, but also some fun family moments that I can't wait. And there was a page that was released from issue number, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3, but I don't want to give it away, but it does involve the entire Ghost Machine universe, including Geiger and Redcoat and Rook and all of that. That if you check that out, it's super cool, and I'm very excited for this series. I'll be probably reading number one tonight. I started to read it the other day, and it was so engaging that I realized I wasn't getting anything else done, and I had to stop myself. So don't miss out on the Rockefellers number one. This is gonna be great. We've got our A cover here. We have a Gary Frank variant, which I love Gary Frank so much, and a Scott Hepburn variant as well. So maybe getting our first look at one of the villains there in the background, kind of bug-eyed, which is really cool. And then we got Iron Man number three, and issue number one of Iron Man was really cool. Issue number two comes out soon. I'm not quite sure when, but issue number three, Iron Man goes medieval. We saw kind of some teasers of this where Iron Man gets this giant sword, and it said it's the Iron Swordsman versus the Ironmonger, and the Ironmonger is now like giant. So this is gonna be a really cool look for Iron Man fighting this giant mechanical monster Ironmonger. So this is your A cover. We have a Bangus Marvel versus Capcom variant. I love these Marvel versus Capcom variants. I just remember playing the game and like the avatars for these characters being so iconic. I always love Cable from this with his blue and yellow look, and they've always cemented themselves in my mind. I would try to draw them and everything, so I love these. And we also have a Will Spartaccio variant, which is not the final cover. I'm guessing it will be colored for the final version. Moving on, we have West Coast Avengers number 2. And we have not got number 1 yet, but I'm excited to check it out. So I don't know a whole lot about it other than it's going to be Avengers team that also incorporates some villains in as well, including Ultron, which I'm excited to see what that's all about. But in issue number 2, Firestar officially joins the West Coast Avengers. So if you're a Firestar fan, this will be a great one because she hasn't got a whole lot of screen time in a while. But this year A cover, we have a Annie Wu Window Shades variant and a Vincentini Stormbreakers variant. And then we have Mirka Andolfo's Sweet Paprika Open for Business number 2 of 5. Number 1 came out a couple of weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago. It was really fun. If you're a fan of Mirka Andolfo's Sweet Paprika world, you'll definitely want to continue to read this. This one written by Steve Orlando, so that's really cool. And we've got our A cover here and the Mirka Andolfo variant. Then we have Terminator number 3. So this has been wildly popular. Number 1 was kind of a sleeper hit, and then we sold out of it really fast. People learned like this is really cool to see Terminator in different time frames. And it sounds like this one's actually a continuation from the last issue because we're still set in the last days of the Vietnam War, and a lone soldier is trying to survive uh, after this strange thing in the forest and through the jungle destroyed his squad, which of course is going to be a Terminator. But I love this idea of Terminator throughout time. I want to see even further back. Show me like ancient Egyptian Terminator, ancient Greece Terminator, medieval Terminator. Give me all of that. That sounds awesome. This is your B cover, which is the Galman cover, and your D cover, which is the Cousins variant. And next up, we got cool covers. So, really cool covers to look at, and with probably really cool stories on the inside. Starting off with Action Comics, issue 1080. This is your Mario Fuccio cover that I thought was really cool. I like the kind of graffiti look of it. We have Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns number 4 of 5. So I believe this is going to be weekly leading up to Christmas. That's how they did the previous Batman Silent Night story, which was really fun. But yeah, issue number 4, this is the Bernard Chang A cover. And we have a Frederici variant, which is really, really fun. The Santa in this is just awesome. Then we have Batman Superman World's Finest number 34. This is the Mike Deodato Jr. cover. And I think this one is about the Super Pets, which is always really cool. And we also have a David Nakayama Artist Spotlight variant with Zatanna, which we just found out is getting her own miniseries coming up by Jamal Campbell doing the writing and art on, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, great time to be a Zatanna fan. Then we have Catwoman number 71. They've been doing some fantastic covers with this series. So starting off, we have this awesome Frank Cho variant where he's doing that really cool style that he uses just like a regular Bic pen and to do all this cross hatching. Look it up online. His technique and everything, it's insane, and it shows how incredible of an artist he is. Then we have a Lee Bermejo cover and a David Nakayama Artist Spotlight variant. Next up, we have Nightwing issue number 121. And yeah, another awesome cover. This is by Dan Panosian. Then we have a Gleb Milkanov variant and a Chrissy Zulo variant, which I know people are really happy to see Chrissy Zulo back doing these. She did the Halloween, like trick or treat variants last year. And this year she's doing these Christmas ones. So you'll see a couple more of those coming up. Then we have Titans number 18. This is the Georgiev variant. And I always love covers that show like the heroes being regular people and having fun and hanging out. I know it's not the most like action packed thing, but it does. Uh, the action doesn't mean as much if you don't have the character moments. So to see like when the Titans hang out and are just friends, I love that. So this is a really fun cover for that one. And we also have the Chrissy Zulo Winter Wonderland variant as well, which I like how they kind of look like Christmas cards with that border on them as well. We have Wonder Woman number 16. This is your David Nakayama variant, but I don't think this is the David Nakayama artist spotlight variant, which is weird. Um, but he's just also doing these variant covers for Wonder Woman, which is really nice. And there's also a Chrissy Zulo variant for that one as well. A lot of people were kind of kicking themselves last year for not getting all the trick or treat variants. So make sure if you like these to go ahead and pre-order them because they're going to sell out really fast. And then if you're going to try to get like a full set of them, it'll be really hard to go back and get the previous ones. Then we have Amazing Spider-Man number 64. I still haven't got a chance to read 61 yet, but I really want to. Matt said it was awesome with the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, so I've got my copy of it, but I have not read it yet. This is your Bengus Marvel versus Capcom variant, once again with a very iconic style for Spider-Man, and the the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man variant with by Scotty Young, showing another horrific death of a tiny Spider-Man. We have Exceptional X-Men number 4. This is the Savage Winter Holiday Special. And I love this Hanukkah special cover for Kitty Pryde. Not just having all Christmas or all winter to really spotlight Kitty Pryde and her Jewish traditions and everything. I think this is awesome. I love the colors of it. So yeah, this is the cover I've already pre-ordered for this issue. We've got Spider-Boy number 14. This is the Rose Besh cover with the new Spider-Girl. This is also the cover I've pre-ordered. I feel like it'd be fun if we just like pointed out like, oh yeah, I got that one. I got that one. But yeah, this is the cover I pre-ordered for Spider-Boy. We also have Ultimate Black Panther number 11. This isn't a variant cover, but I did want to show the cover. Looks like we're getting one of our first looks at maybe the new Strange Doctor or Sorcerer Supreme or something that we know is going to be appearing in Ultimate Black Panther. But looks really cool. I'm excited to continue to read this and find out everything that happens. So this could be your first cover appearance of that character, which could be Clea. Kind of has the Clea vibes with the purple, but we'll have to find out. Then we have X-Men number 9. This is the Chris Jeruso crossover connecting variant, which has been doing all of these, the kind of homaging the original Jim Lee X-Men number 1 covers. So it means we'll probably have one more with Magneto on it. But these are really cool. So hopefully you've been getting these and you can piece them all together. And next, we have graphic novels and more. First off, we have Absolute Power Task Force 7. This is the graphic novel collecting that 7-issue miniseries that spotlighted each of the Task Force 7 members. This is a really fun, each written and drawn by a different creator for Absolute Power. So if you didn't get a chance to read it or you really liked it and you want to read it again, you can pick up this paperback for $19.99. To go along with that, you have Absolute Power Origins for $17.99, and this was the miniseries. I think it was 4 issues that showed Amanda Waller's past and why she hates superheroes so much. That was really interesting. Also, we have Absolute Superman number 1 second printing. You're definitely going to want to grab this, especially if you missed number 1, the first printing, but also if you're trying to collect all of the covers. Because I love that they're actually doing different covers for these instead of just recoloring or something the main cover. So this is the Rafa Sandoval main cover for this, who is also your interior artist. And this awesome Gilliam March variant, which is very kind of feels like anime inspired, especially with his hair, but really cool Gilliam March cover there. We also have the Absolute Superman number 1 second printing cover C Matteo Scalera foil variant. And this is really, really cool. This is going to look great in foil. Next up, we got a couple more of the DC Compact comics. These have been selling awesome. They're at $9.99, and you get so much story, full color, everything, just a little bit smaller of a format. And they are running with these. We got announcements of even more, like New Frontier is getting one. Just a bunch more. I've been getting them all because it's like they're like Pokemon cards. You got to collect them all. So this is your Batwoman Elegy by Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams III. This is a beautiful book. I read this back when it came out. J.H. Williams III's art is awesome as it spreads from page to page. Batwoman's cape creates the next panel. It's super artistic, really, really nice, great story. So you definitely want to get this one, especially for $10. That's awesome. Then we have Superman Birthright. I know this is, I think this is Matt's favorite Superman origin book. I really like this one too by Mark Waid and Lionel Francis Yu. This one's cool. It kind of takes a different take on like how long it took Clark Kent to become Superman and what he did in that in between time. But really, really good. I have like a deluxe hardcover of this, but I'm still gonna get this one because this is a great size. Also, if you want to like loan it out to people, it's only $10. So if they ruin it, they didn't ruin your like $100 deluxe edition of it. But also a little easier to travel with. I was out of town last week and I brought the Ed Brubaker Catwoman DC Compact comic with me. Fits right in a backpack. It's super great. So yeah, be collecting these because I think they're a awesome thing. And that is it for Comics from the Future. I survived, but just barely. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know in the comments what you're most excited for. It's really helpful for me because doing all the ordering and a lot of ordering is speculating on not like what's going to be valuable, but it's what's going to be popular. And your numbers that you give if you when you pre-order things tells me this is a variant cover you really like, or this is a new series that people are excited about. I'll see our numbers that are higher than normal, and I'll go, okay, now this is one that I need to invest in because I think it's going to be awesome, and it seems like other people think it's going to be really cool. That's such a hard part of the job is anticipating numbers and what is going to be popular. That's why it's so helpful doing these shows when we get advanced reader copies of things like the question. I up the orders on the question because I read it and I thought this is awesome. Same with the Absolute books. We read them. We're like, these are incredible. We know these are going to be popular just because of how good they are. But that also means if there's something really in particular you like or a cover you really like, it's super helpful to pre-order it because if I don't see high numbers on it, maybe we don't get as many of those. So a little behind the scenes on how the ordering is done, but showing you how important it is for us to do these shows and how important it is that you give us your feedback. So in your pre-orders, in the comments, let me know. Even artists that you like, series you're loving, we love to hear all of that. It's super important for us because we love comics here. I love comics. That's why I work here. That's why I make comics. That's all of that. So, all that being said, head over to infinityflux.net right now where you can place your pre orders. It's super easy, even if you've never done it before, to go on there and place your pre orders. It takes no time, it costs you nothing to set up an account. And yeah, everything you pre order, you get 10% off of. It's just a great deal all around. And you know that everyone here cares about comics as much as you do. We put that care into everything from our packaging to our shipping are the way we bag and board everything. It's all super important to us, and hopefully that comes across to you when you receive your books or you shop in the store and you pick your books up here. Um, Again, thank you so much for watching. Matt will hopefully be back on our Monday show to cover some of the books coming out next week. Some really, really great ones you don't want to miss out on, like Rockefellers #1, and a whole bunch more. So join us for that. And I guess that is it. So until next time, I survived.